Hello, everybody. Okay, so I am very, very much honored to be here and sharing this work with you guys. I know that 2020 has definitely been a really interesting year for so many of us. For our whole entire world, just going through massive shifts. And so if you've gone through some massive shifts in your life, I hope that it is my intention that this message just bring you back to reverence, bring you back to your truest self, bring you back to purpose and meaning, to really make the most out of 2021. And through law of polarity and law of correspondence, just, whatever came up for you last year that brought up a lot of scarcity, a lot of fear, if you did end up losing your job, or you're just like, wow, there's just been a lot of changes, you can't see nobody's full face at the store, human contact and gatherings, we just had the holidays, so I know that it can be a lot. There's just been a lot of changes, working from home, families being able to spend more time together, but, a lot has hit the fan. I know it has in my life, a lot of different things, just leaving my life, and I'm sure it has for you too. So this program is in dedication and in honor to Wayne Dyer, one of my greatest teachers that has really helped me so much on my journey to greatness, my journey to purpose, fulfillment, and meaning in my life, and helping others to do the same. So Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you for joining. Definitely say hi if you're here catching us live. I know there's some more of you that are popping on. So I just want to take a moment to set intention and just really give our honor and our respect to Wayne Dyer and everything that he brought to this world. He's just so amazing and reminds me so much of my father, and there's a lot of synchronicities with that kind of thing. He's just been a really, really wonderful teacher for me. And so I'm going to be elaborating off of his wisdom that he shared and gained from other ancient teachers and texts and things like that as well. I mean, just, reiterating a lot of things into now time, the 2021 time, and after what we went through in 2020. So if you can just take a moment to tune in with me and close down your eyes. In respect and honor of Wayne Dyer and all the great teachers that have walked before us, we thank you for your knowledge and your wisdom that you have left here on planet Earth for us to achieve enlightenment, for us to step into and embrace our true nature and really make the most out of our lives, to live a life of abundance, freedom, fulfillment, and purpose. We thank you and we honor you. And I invite in, any messages from the divine to be channeled through today to serve. And whoever is meant to hear this message, may they hear this message at the perfect time for them. So, first things first, getting into it. Wayne made a movie called The Shift, and it is free on YouTube. So definitely, if you haven't watched that, I definitely suggest watching it. So there's a couple pieces that I'm going to speak on. And so number one quote, or it's a prayer of Saint Joseph that I love. Be an instrument of peace instead of seeking it. Okay, so that's a piece out of a prayer by Saint Joseph. So much of our life is spent chasing after the next thing. It's like the ego, which we'll be talking about today, has everything to do with the next thing. It's the disease of more, like never having enough. And ultimately, the path of ambition, which this program is about ambition to meaning, ambition to purpose, that Wayne highlights and speaks very deeply about. So that journey of a place from ambition and where that stems from is from the ego. And it's not that ambition is bad, that motivation is bad. We're not saying that at all. But what we're saying is that there is a more peaceful way to experience your dreams and to experience peace on earth. There is another way, and I truly believe that this is where businesses are headed, that, you know, businesses that are starting up now and forward, it's really about the roots of what the business is starting in. It's not just about making money, it's about serving a purpose and a mission here to really serve humanity moving forward. And guaranteed you can think of a couple companies that really aren't here to serve humanity's highest good. They're rooted in making money, which is therefore rooted in the ambition and therefore ego. So there's many of those companies out there, there's many people out there that are living in their ego self and not their soul self, and you know, I'm sure you can think of a few right now. So being an instrument of peace instead of seeking it, this is about the journey inward, right? That there isn't anything to seek. You can embody the peace that people spend their whole entire lives going after, to find peace, to find happiness outside of ourselves. Okay, and in regards to 2020, many people, I see this as an ego cleanse, which one of my teachers, Randy Haverson, he has a book called The Ego Cleanse. I love him so much. He's a dear friend and mentor of mine. And that's what I feel like 2020 was. It was a cleanse of the ego, because we all have one. I don't know if there will ever be a day on earth that we don't have one, because it does serve a purpose. It does serve a purpose, and yes, we do have to take action, and things will be done, but things will be done. And when we live from a place of meaning and purpose, and we are living through our soul, that's the path of trust. It's the path of faith. This is the path of God, source, creator. I'm going to use these terms interchangeably. It's, you know, whatever resonates with you. It's your higher power, your faith, whether that's God, source, creator, whatever that means for you. So being an instrument of peace, we have this ability here on earth to be whatever it is that you desire. And so if you were desiring peace, it's available to you right now. And what gets in the way is our mind. What gets in the way is our mind. What gets in the way is our ego. So, you know, the year 2020, people, you know, losing their jobs, their relationships are ending, depression rates went up, suicide rates went up, and divorce rates went up significantly. And so from my observation, you know, we have shifted in what our normal was. You know, like you get up and you go to work and you do these things and you come home and you have this family, and you know, we get so ingrained that it becomes unconscious. Our life becomes unconscious, and we are ultimately missing out on a lot of beauty in love, purpose, meaning, fulfillment that we can truly experience when we become more and more conscious. So people in 2020, and right now, even reflecting back on the year, and I've talked with many of my friends about this, and clients as well, like there's been a dramatic cleanse of who am I, why am I here, and what's my purpose. People that were running multiple businesses, and now those businesses are shut down, and they're having to rethink, like, who am I and why am I here? If I'm not a business owner now and I'm here in this place, now where am I? So it's like there's whether it's subconscious or conscious, there's an existential crisis going on for many people, and it could be for you too. I know I did go through it as well. And being a soul purpose coach and being here, my biggest message is purpose. Purpose for me has shifted my whole entire life. So Wayne Dyer was all about finding purpose and meaning and living that dharma, living your calling, living the life of purpose. And so 2020 has been an opportunity for us to realign ourselves with why we want to be here. You know, is it to be a business owner, or is it something deeper than that? Is it to be a mother, or is it something deeper than that? Is there something that you feel within you that you are here for a calling? You are here to deliver and bring something upon the planet that is great. And so this is an opportunity. This last year was an opportunity for us to really look at our lives and, am I really living the life that I truly want? Am I truly happy? And a lot of people's minds and emotions and bodies, there's been so much imbalance, but have the roots really been developed and created within love, or has it been out of fear and attachment? That this is what I should be doing. I should be, going to school and becoming this. I should be a mom. I should be running multiple businesses. I should be, all of that. And all of that eventually comes to a head because it does lead to unhappiness. And I've found that through my own experience of all this conversation that I've had with myself. I should be doing this. I could be doing that. I would be doing this. All of that is it's mental activity that has limitation, and it's not rooted within my heart. Okay? So another beautiful quote. Your mind knows the way. Your heart has already been there, and your soul has never left. I love this so much. So, your mind knows the way. Your mind has a purpose. Helping you think about step by step how to achieve something. There's nothing wrong with that. Your heart has already been there. So your dreams, your visions, that deeper calling, there's a purpose for it. Your heart's already been there. It's already been home. On the spiritual journey, we hear a lot about we're walking each other home. We're just returning home. And this is what I would like to speak about today, and what dear Wayne Dyer spoke so much about and has helped me really to understand and connect within myself. So that home feeling, when you feel like this is exactly perfect, you wouldn't want it any other way. But we've been so busy wanting to be somewhere else than where we are right now. And it's a journey of constantly wanting to achieve and acquire more, which ultimately doesn't lead to fulfillment. And we don't have to go down that journey to realize that. We can learn from the great minds, we can learn from the great teachers, and learn from people around us. So we don't have to go through the suffering and the pain that these teachers have spoken about, that only leads to disease and unhappiness, not fulfilling your full potential, which I believe is ultimately limitless of what we can really do here. Your soul never left, meaning connecting with your soul is connecting with your soul. That's your home. That leads you to fulfilling your dharma. That leads you to fulfilling your destiny, and whatever that means for you. Whatever that deeper calling is. Being in alignment with your soul leads you to that space. And so this has been my own journey of understanding, number one, understanding what the ego is. And just really taking it for, doing your own study on what the ego is, which we are going to talk about today, that Wayne Dyer spoke about, and Carl Jung speaks about it and talks about shadow work, and it's within psychology. Talked about in psychology the superego and the egoic mind, the monkey mind. There's so many words for it, but it's essentially our projected self that's full of these belief systems, that is identifying with this, that, and the other thing. It's our projected self, our personality. So it's not about not having a personality, but where is it limiting you, and what are you, if you're identifying with your ego, then it's going to cause suffering for you. And I'll tell you why in just a few. So identifying with your soul and being within your soul space, deciding what you are going to focus on and create from. Who is in the driver's seat? Is it your ego or is it your soul? And both of those roads lead to very two different places. And committing to this. So whatever road that you choose, and I'm not going to tell you what's right or wrong, it's your journey. There is, what I've learned through plant medicine is we have this mountain of enlightenment, and there is so many roads that we can take to get to the top of the mountain, but it still leads to somewhere. Whether you're wrapping around the mountain a couple times and staying over here, and then, you go up, or you're just steadily taking the higher perspective up to the top of that mountain. So our ego, the idea that we carry around with us about who we are. There is 6 components that Wayne Dyer speaks about. I am what I have. So, as you can probably see, that, no longer having the same as you used to from 2020, if you've lost people in your life, if you've lost where you were living, if you had to sell things because you had to pay your mortgage, whatever it is, getting things taken away from you, whatever it is, I am what I have. So acquiring these things, or perhaps not even being able to fund the addiction of shopping and being able to acquire more stuff. But the ego says that I am what I have. And the problem with this is that we attach our worth to what we have. So if we don't have a lot in the ego mind, then we're not worth much. And so this is the problem when we're within the ambition phase of our life. Our worth is tied to what we have, and if we don't have a lot, then we're consistently not feeling good enough. Therefore, our decision making and our choices are coming from a place of not feeling good enough, so we're constantly striving to obtain the things so we feel better about ourselves. And this is all the ego. All the ego. And it's important to just understand this. And if you do any type of study, this is a great place to start or keep diving into to fully understand of what the ego is, so that when you're coming into challenges, is this something that's created within the ego, and it's something that you can dive into and heal and release that resistance that's coming up for you so you can achieve more peace. Another component of the ego is I am what I do. So this one has been really huge for me, that I need to do more so I feel good about myself. The ego's rooted in lack. If you've noticed that I am what I have, I am what I do, but therefore, if you are what you have and you are what you do, if you don't have enough or you're not doing enough, then you don't feel good enough. Therefore, your sense of value goes down. And I'm sure you guys have experienced what that's like to feel not good enough. I've spoke about it on many videos. The not enoughness disease of mankind is huge. And definitely 2020 has brought that out for many, many people, myself included, in a lot of different ways. So if we're, I am what I do, if I'm not able to go to my job like I used to, or my business is shut down now, my children went off to college, I don't have my children around me, so I am what I do, I'm a parent, and now that my child's not with me, now who am I? There's an aspect of the ego, whether it's subconscious or conscious, that's like they're not able, the role that was once attached to, the mind was attached to, is no longer present. So there's a loss of connection to self there. Same thing with no longer working. Like, oh, I've been, a massage therapist for 3 years and now I'm not doing massage therapy. Who am I? Now I'm a business owner and I just lost my businesses. Who am I? What is my purpose? Why am I here? And you guys, this is something natural. It's something to learn from. This is not something to feel bad about. So as I'm speaking about this, it's important to remember that these are lessons that the ego teaches us. And that was something very profound that Wayne Dyer said in one of his videos I was watching about making the shift. That these are lessons from the ego, that the ego teaches us to return us to home. If identifying with what you have isn't working for you, guess what? It gives you a perfect opportunity to look at, well, if I'm not what I have, then who am I? It's an opportunity to reevaluate who you are and your purpose for being here. And that's what I believe is the biggest gift that we received in 2020, is a reevaluation of who we are. And who we are collectively as a society, as a community. Who we are within ourselves. Not being attached to what we do in the world. And how we feel about ourselves. That's the deeper, that's the juice. And getting to that deeper place where you aren't what you have, you aren't what you do. Okay, so we're getting deeper here. Then who am I? Another component that the ego teaches us is I am what others think of me. How many of you have not taken action or have been paralyzed by fear in doing something? You had an idea, you wanted to pursue something, start a business or get into, go visit that girl at the coffee shop that's kind of cute, and you're feeling good vibes from, whatever it is. I am what others think of me. So therefore, judgment. For how many of you, I'd love to hear and do a hands up emoji, that where judgment has stopped you from moving forward. Whether it's perfectionism, it has to be perfect. And so if it's not perfect, it's not good enough. So there's that judgment. What are others going to think of me if it's not perfect? So we don't take action. How many of you have been there? Been paralyzed by what others could think of me, because the ego teaches us that I am what others think of me. So let's think back of, whatever people have said in school to us, what our parents said to us sometimes when they were, in an emotional state or stressed out, and we interpreted that, we're not good enough, there's something wrong within ourselves. So therefore, we don't move towards our dreams. We don't move to living into a space of purpose and meaning because of fear of what others could possibly think of me. I am what others think of me. That's what the ego teaches us. So, releasing I am what others think of me, I am what I do, I am what I have. These are all things, by the way, that change. So if they change, that means who you are is consistently changing. And going through those changes, it's not really a joyful process. Not that it's a bad process or, a negative process. But is there another way? Depending upon what we identify ourselves with, our soul or our ego, we can save ourselves a bunch of suffering and save those around us a bunch of suffering by embodying our soul and not attaching to things outside of ourselves that say, this is who I am. I am this body, but this body changes. So then there's this constant feeling of lack. And like I mentioned, the ego is rooted in lack. It's rooted in lack. There's already this, there's already this nothingness within the ego. And so for it to be created, it attaches the things outside of ourselves and ideas to be created. Another lesson that the ego teaches us is I am separate from everyone else in my life. So a big thing that's coming through is fear of being alone. Fear of being alone. If you have ever felt those feelings of being alone, and I know, from last year, and you're not going to the gatherings or the shows or the, doing what you used to be able to do, the gatherings on the holidays, for the holidays, not being able to do that in the same way. If we're not able to physically be with that person, then I'm not connected to them, therefore it makes me feel sadness, grief, feeling alone, fearful, not supported. So with the ego thinking that it's separate from all the people around you, it can create just so much fear and sadness and a really dark space to be in when you feel disconnected from everyone in your life. And this is included for people that pass away, and that's why death is so intense for so many people, because of I am separate from everyone else in my life. So my dad passed away 3-4 years ago, so I'm separate. My ego says I'm separate from my dad, so when he passed away, that's the end of my dad. I'm no longer connected to him. Now, can you imagine as an 18-year-old girl that my dad was my best friend? And so my ego telling me I'm no longer connected to my dad, the amount of grief that was present was so life-altering. And I know it is for many of you that have lost people in your life that you were deeply connected to. It creates this oh my God. And people carry that pain with them their whole entire lives when they are identified with their ego. It's still holding on to that pain and that hurt of losing that person because you're no longer connected to them. Which is just beautiful now with science and quantum physics and learning about the field and how we're connected to everything. Why that science and spirituality are beginning to bridge, and us, understanding this, it can help us with those grieving times that you're not separate from the people that have left this earth. And you're not separate from the people that are not physically with you right now. I know some of you have had pretty miraculous experiences where, you get this feeling that Joe's about to call you, and then you go to pick up your phone and Joe's calling you. Hey, Joe! So some of those experiences, I'm sure you guys can think of a couple experiences right now that you've had that you felt someone else's energy and they weren't present with you. Now that's a sign that this is not true, that we're separate from everyone else in our life. The ego also teaches us is I am separate from what is missing in my life. So this is where ambition really comes in from the ego. That everything I want is outside of myself, so I have to work diligently to get to that place. Now, does that mean you're not going to get there? No, many people do get there. But how was the journey of getting there? And do they ever fully arrive? Or is it constantly like once they get there, okay, next thing, and don't even take the time to experience the journey? I am separate from what is missing in my life. So this is what causes a lot of people pain, and why so many people come into spirituality and learning about manifestation and these tools, to be the creator of your life. Because this is true. We are absolutely connected to those visions. Those visions aren't just an accident. Our desires aren't just an accident. Our heart-centered desires. We are not separate from what is missing in our lives. If we can see it within our mind, we can experience it in our reality. I've experienced that firsthand. So the ego then teaches us through, I'm separate from everything in my life. Well, then the lesson of that is huge. It's realizing that we're a creator. We get to create this beautiful life, and the road of the creator is one of respect, because it means you have to take responsibility for what shows up in your life. Some may say that it's random and that it's this and this, but when we start to really connect to what we are experiencing in our reality, whether we're going through a traumatic situation or we're going through a blissful moment, to be like, okay, I'm creating this. What's the higher perspective here? What within me has created this experience, and acknowledging the good with the painful experiences, because it's an opportunity for growth in either one. Keep doing what works and stop doing what doesn't. We don't have to keep reliving painful situations. And I know there's many of you that have experienced patterns in your life, whether it's patterns of relationship, attracting the same type of person, issues with finances, health issues coming back, patterns. Why is this? And I do know this within my being, that the path of the creator is our way to fully step out of those patterns, observe them, and heal them at their roots, and go back to what created them by, okay, taking responsibility that I created this. So even reflecting in 2020, we can blame it on the government. We can talk about the conspiracies. We can talk about, everything that someone else created this. But where's the power in that? And I'm not saying it's not true, that there isn't people involved that are, sabotaging or whatever. I'm not going to get into all that. What I'm talking about is the path of meaning and purpose. In a way that we fully step into that is by stepping into our creator of our experience, which is our soul. We are not the victim to our circumstance. If I'm like, okay, I'm creating this. This is my world that I'm experiencing right here in this moment. and fully observing what comes up for you. If it's something that if you're going through a struggle or you're going through a beautiful moment, experiencing it fully. Your senses are interpreting all the information that is within that experience that you're having right now. You created this moment. You came on and took the time to watch this program. So when we really dive into it, and this is why the transformation work has been so significant for me, because I love diving deep into all this stuff. It adds a lot of meaning and purpose for me of getting to the roots. Because when we learn how to get back to the roots, then we can start planting really beautiful trees, really beautiful plants that grow lots of fruit. Okay? So the last component that the ego teaches us is I am separate from source. I'm separate from God. One of the analogies that Wayne Dyer uses is edge God out. The ego, edge God out. And one of the, cute little analogies that he uses is that, your mom brings you into this world. Your mom and dad bring you into this world. And then we say, all right, God, I got it from here. And we start taking control. We, meaning our ego. And we start edging out the very intelligence that brought this soul into the earth. Yes, the mother is the channel that the soul came through, but even what created the mother, what created this planet. We start edging out the very intelligence that knows exactly what to do and when to do it and how to do it. We start edging all of that out and doing this thing on our own like we got it all figured out. And it can be painful to live that way. I feel that 2020 has also brought an opportunity for us to reconnect spiritually to our faith and whatever that means for you. Reconnecting to the very intelligence that created you. It's a very humbling experience to release the ego and take the ego out of the driver's seat and place in your soul and the intelligence that created you. And aligning with those powers creates miraculous transformation in one's life. So all that these 6 components that I just spoke about, that Wayne Dyer speaks about as well, the ideas that we carry. So all of these components make up the ego. And so whenever we're going through struggle, if it has anything to do with these 6 components, you know where it's coming from. And get excited, because now it's time for some shadow work and releasing those attachments. Which leads me to a beautiful lesson that Wayne Dyer speaks of. A mind that is open to everything and attached to nothing. A mind that is open to everything but attached to nothing. Attachment is something that I teach and that I live my life by, and some call me crazy and some don't understand it, and that's okay. But for that moment of suffering, when you go through a detachment that's really deep, an attachment that's really deep, such as an identity, And I've had to do it several times with even who I am as a, running this company and being a coach and a healer, detaching from all of that although this is my role in the world, it doesn't have anything to do with my value and how I feel about myself. Now, does that mean when I do something great in my business and I get the opportunity to serve another client that it doesn't make me feel good about myself? No, of course I still experience those feelings. Does that mean that when I, something goes wrong, that I don't have that moment of like, oh, like, is this what I'm supposed to do? Because of those attachments to what I do. If I'm not doing enough, if I'm not making enough videos, and I'm not, I'm not doing enough, it makes me, it made me feel less than. And that's how I know I'm within the ego, because the ego says I am what I do. So if I'm not doing what I should be doing, what my mind's telling me I should be doing to feel good about myself, then my sense of value goes down. So one might ask, so does this mean that I don't have things in the world? I don't do things in the world? I don't care what others think of me? No. It just means be open to everything and attached to nothing. And how you know that you are attached to something is when you can feel it in your body. If you're clinging to a thought and it doesn't feel good, we're clinging to these thoughts. There's that attachment there. And where your peace is releasing that attachment. And this is where our practices, where meditation is so powerful, because we get that opportunity to be within the space that isn't attached to anything. It's an opportunity to receive information and stop projecting so much out. We have an opportunity to receive, and that's the journey from ambition to purpose and meaning. It's trusting in the intelligence that created you. It's moving into that receiving all that this beautiful place has to offer us. And from that place of receiving, it's a natural space to also give out. It's not going to require much energy. It's just naturally happening, because that's what the loving source does. It's without thought. It's beyond thought. So, speaking about our soul, our true self, all that I have here for you, I've mentioned the I ams that the ego says that it is. The soul is I am. And within that power, you get to create anything that you want. I am light? Great. Experience that lightness. I am love? Great. Experience that love. Experience the beingness of love. I am fear? Great. Experience the experience of fear. I am all my painful traumas? Okay. Experience that. And the beautiful thing about it, about this I am, none of it's wrong. It's all lessons and blessings that we get to experience. No matter what you put after I am, there's lessons and blessings for it all. And that's one of the most beautiful truths that has helped me in creating a beautiful life for myself and helping others do the same, in living in my dream that I once saw as a vision within my mind. There is no wrong. It's just lessons and blessings for everybody. So this journey of identifying with our soul, identifying with our ego, and therefore also identifying with our soul, what we are focusing on and living by is going to create two different lives. So the path of purpose, when we get to know ourselves and get to know our tendencies, our bad habits, our good habits, and where they come from, we have even more power to change them. It's honoring the lessons and seeing it all the way through of where you have come from. Something that I also would like to begin concluding with before we open up to any questions that you guys can possibly have. If you do have any questions, go ahead and pop them in the chat and I'd be happy to answer them. So, be, do, have. I love this as a formula for life. To really be here, being out of the mind and in your heart. That place of doing is a space of inspiration. Your life, you begin to live an inspired life when you release the mind and the ego and you tune into your heart in that quiet space and you fully be present in the here and now. The doingness from that space feels so good. And it's very conscious. And so that's what I feel as the difference going from someone speaking of where I was, so caught up in the ambition and having to switch over to purpose. That journey, what I've experienced myself and what many others have experienced as well, is you are so conscious and present in the creation of whatever it is that you're creating, whatever it is that you're learning, whoever it is you're talking to or that you're with. It's a whole different experience that offers you so much wisdom, so much depth and meaning to your life. And that's a very simple way to add more purpose to your life, is to really be present. And so many teachers talk about this. I know that you've heard it before. Being out of the mind and releasing the ego. You can tell your mind like, okay, we're chilling, we're here, we're present. I'm being right now. And something that really helps me to become present, so that then when I'm present, then from that space, I'm ready to take action. Not thinking about what I should be doing or could be doing or would be doing. Not thinking about any of that. Because I want to experience the fullness of every action that I take. Really getting the most out of it. Which is meaning. Having every step is meaningful. And it's not that we need to be perfect at this, but it's a practice. It's a way of life. Moving from that space, we get to live on purpose. And this is what I truly believe so many people are searching for. Is when it really comes to it, when it really comes down to it, it's not the person or place or thing that we want. It's the feeling that it brings us. And the more present we are when we're being in the moment, in every action that we're taking. You can be while you're taking action. The more conscious you are, You're opening yourself up to that divine intelligence that created you, and you're taking inspired action, which has so much more fruitful results from what this is what I've experienced. Because I know the difference from when I'm like, oh, I need to do these things, and the results that creates compared to, I get to do this. This is an opportunity for me to create right now in this moment. I want to do this. I choose. There it is. Lost a little bit of a train of thought, but it always comes back. The technique that helps me is I choose to be here. I choose to be here in this moment. Because then your mind, oh, we're choosing to be here, so there's nowhere else we need to be, nothing else we need to do, so I'm here. I've found so much peace with that thought that has helped me to be. And from that place of being, taking action that is necessary, and then having from that action. Now this is, this is a formula that has helped me tremendously in my life, and all of this, everything that we've talked about today, all of this awareness around all of this, if this is the first time you're hearing this type of information and the way that I express it, just being open to these words, being open to this wisdom that has been passed down, and applying it to your life and being open to it, and seeing for your own self how it shifts and changes your life. And that's the shift. Moving from, any identifications, any attachments that we've had that have caused us a lot of pain in the year of 2020, and moving to a place of purpose and meaning. So many, in regards to relationships, so many people, when you're in a long-term relationship or a long-term marriage, lose sight of what's sprouted, what brought the relationship to life in the first place. It becomes unconscious. There's no longer the same energy behind it. It becomes unconscious. And there's been many stories around great entrepreneurs as well that built something great, but then, eventually throughout that process, and once they get to this certain space, they're making all this money, they've had all this success, and it's like they're unhappy. And so this route, if you are in a place where you've lost everything, if you lost relationships, you've lost your home, you don't have much money to your name, you aren't sure why you're here, this is a perfect place to start, because you can start by, I'm going to live from my soul. My soul has the wheel now. You don't need to know what to do or how to do it. Just start there. And from that space, I'm living from the purpose of my soul. And see where that takes you. Don't worry about what you've lost and what you have or don't have and what you're doing. Just focus. Take that time to focus on your soul. And it's a beautiful place to begin. It's what started my journey, and I consistently have to check in and make sure I'm living from my soul, because we have an ego. So it's very easy to slip into our old stories. It's so easy to slip into our old stories. So recognizing when you're slipping into your old stories, okay, why am I doing this? Living a mission-oriented life, a purposeful, meaningful life. Is one that has created so much freedom and fulfillment for me, and being able to be of service and help people through all of this chaos. Because of course, as simple as it may sound, and it sounds good when you're really in the nitty-gritty of it, it's not so much of a joyful experience. going through the healing process and detaching and recognizing and aware, big pills to swallow when you're taking responsibility for your life, and so it's not something you have to do alone. There's many people out there that are doing this work and serving people at this level that I'm speaking of. So finding your support, your community, and reaching out and having mentors and people around you that are here to support you in becoming the greatest version of yourself. And I know, some of you that have had big dreams and you've expressed it to some of your family members and they're just like, good luck, or, are you really going to try and do that? Like, why don't you go back to school and whatever it is, or go get a job. Know that there's people out there, and I'm one of them, that are here to assist you in reaching the space of your soul and experiencing that space of your infinite potential. Because once you get a taste of it, once you know just a little bit of what it feels like to be truly in alignment with why you're here and who you are, it's a light switch that'll never go off. They say that when you awaken, there is no going back to sleep. And that's the struggle for so many, is you wake up to all this stuff and it can be, really overwhelming and too much, and I just want to go back to sleep, and then it's just this, internal turmoil and this existential crisis. And so I am here to support you on your journey, and you can definitely reach out to me anytime. Find those people that you resonate with and just really immerse yourself into living a purposeful and meaningful life. By being here in the moment and experiencing it for what it is, even if it's doing dishes. We can take so many things for granted. But when we truly switch from living a life of the ego into the soul, and we become friends with the ego, and the ego works for us, works for the soul of, making things happen and getting things done, it's such a smoother sail to enlightenment. So I love you guys. I would love to know how this has served you, and let me know what you liked, didn't like. I love you guys, and let's make 2021 a year of commitment to our soul, a year of consistency in that space of doing our best, and committing to love. Commitment has been coming up a lot. When we truly commit to our soul and the work of our soul, our life changes forever. I love you guys so much, and have a wonderful Tuesday. Namaste.